I watched 2009's Friday the 13th reboot, and it's great. Okay, review over. Just kidding. You know I got a lot to say about this one. This is a reboot made by the same team that made the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Marcus Nespeel and Daniel Pearl return, and you just know this one's going to be a banger. The movie returns to its roots, which is good because the branches of that particular tree were getting pretty damn brittle. It's more realistic. It's a grounded story that distills Friday the 13th down to its bones and then grabs the franchise's greatest hits and builds a narrative that actually explains some of the reoccurring plot holes. Even Jason himself feels like a greatest hits album. He's got a little of part 2 and a little of part 3, and it's Jason's Eras tour. We get a brief bit showing Pamela's death and Jason, still a young boy, finding her body. And then our cold open follows a group of campers hiking through the forest around Crystal Lake, having been led there by two of their friends secretly looking for a hidden patch of weed growing in the woods. My mind immediately went, oh no, we've wandered into a cartel movie. Fortunately, probably not. My personal theory is that it's actually the descendants of the counselor's weed from the 70s, Crystal Lake's oldest surviving resident. The movie does this a few times. It uses the landscape and setting to quietly tell stories about what happened here before the movie started. I love environmental storytelling like that. And then Jason reminds us what genre we're watching. The opening kills are brutal, including a great riff on the classic sleeping bag kill, and we get our first really good look at Jason in his baghead phase. Derek Mears is huge. This is not zombie Jason. This is mountain man survivalist Jason. He feels like a guy who's been living off the land for decades and violently objects to trespassing. Cut to 6 weeks later, and Sam Winchester is investigating a disappearance without Dean. Sorry, Clay. His name is Clay. Clay is looking for his missing sister Whitney, one of the campers Jason captured. And while asking around, he runs into our main teen group, including a guy I simply refer to as Yuppie, because look at him. He came pre installed with a boat shoe collection. Layla from Sky High likes him, though. I mean, look, Jared Padalecki has the face of a golden retriever that pays taxes. I get it. The teens head up to Yuppie's dad's lake house, and wow, do I hate this guy. Every time he opens his mouth, I wanted Jason to hear him. The stoner duo, though, they're actually fun. They're still idiots, but they're likable idiots, and that's a huge improvement over previous movies. Meanwhile, Clay, is asking around town, and the locals all know about Jason. I love this. Jason has a territory. The locals know where it is, and they know if outsiders wander into it, well, they're probably not coming back. That is so much more interesting than everyone acting like they've never heard of the dozens of disappearances around Crystal Lake. Clay wanders into a barn whose exterior immediately reminded me of part 3. Inside sits Chekhov's wood chipper. And the moment I saw that thing, I thought, well, someone's gonna have a bad time. The local in the barn mentions to Clay the hidden weed patch, which means that he has definitely been wandering into Jason's territory. This movie is very clear about one thing. If you go into Jason's territory, Jason's gonna come get you. And sure enough, Jason shows up, towers over this guy, gets insulted to his face, which honestly rude, and then kills him before upgrading himself to the hockey mask. Level up achieved. This Jason even borrows part three's thick neck. Seriously, this guy, no neck. His shoulders just continue upwards until they become a head. And some of the teens head out onto Crystal Lake, which is adorable because from Jason's perspective, they're basically having a pool party in his front yard. So naturally, he starts killing them. And Jason tracks the survivors back to Yuppie's house, where everything completely falls apart. Clay had shown up earlier still looking for Whitney, because if anyone can solve this Jason problem, it's Sam Winchester. And this Jason is smart. He is throwing axes, shooting arrows, setting traps, cutting phone lines, tracking people, waiting patiently in the shadows. He runs like a freight train. He steals car keys. He is basically Rambo with a facial disfigurement. And the kills are graphic and nasty and incredibly satisfying. This movie remembers that Friday the 13th has a reputation for brutal kills, even if some of the original movies were actually pretty restrained. Clay and Layla manage to escape, and for reasons known only to horror movie GPS, run directly back to Camp Crystal Lake because apparently that place emits a homing beacon for young adults. And we finally get a look inside Jason's home. First observations, Jason grew up to be a hoarder. Second observation, apparently he minored in civil engineering. Beneath the camp is an entire tunnel network that lets him move all over quietly, silently, quickly. They're reinforced and sturdy. They're practically OSHA compliant. And down there is Whitney, who's apparently been Jason's prisoner for 6 weeks. Movie, I have questions. Whitney is alive, healthy, uninjured, fairly clean, and Jason has been feeding her clearly. So Unless Crystal Lake has somehow switched to a 28-day lunar calendar, she has had at least one period down there. How exactly was that handled? The 6-week time jump just doesn't match how anyone's acting either. Honestly, I think she was originally only supposed to have been there a day or two before someone changed the script or something. I don't know. Jason spared Whitney because she found Pamela's locket and happens to resemble Mrs. Voorhees. And just like Ginny back in part 2, Whitney figures out Jason's weakness isn't his body, it's his psychology, and she starts using Pamela against him, and I love that callback. Clay and Layla head into the tunnels to rescue Whitney, and Layla gets absolutely demolished. Jason runs her right through. Yeah, you thought she was the final girl, didn't you? Nope, it's Sam Winchester. The chase ends back at the barn where, exactly as the prophecy foretold, Chekhov's wood chipper returns. Sadly, no one actually gets fed into it, but Jason does get tangled up in it long enough for Whitney to stab him and tell him, "Say hi to mommy in hell." Honestly, close enough. The movie ends with Whitney sitting on the dock, completely traumatized, which feels like the most realistic ending in the whole franchise. And Clay decides the best use of his time is disposing of Jason's body? Why? Go get the cops. Leave the serial killer exactly where he is. This is easily the quickest police report in history. And then, because it simply isn't a Friday the 13th movie unless Jason ignores multiple fatal injuries and at least one law of physics, he jumps out of the lake one last time. Sure, why not? For 2 hours, this movie worked so hard to make Jason feel like a terrifying but believable human survivalist. And then right at the end goes, nah, he's magic again. I don't even mind though, because it's such an iconic Friday ending. It absolutely made me laugh though. This movie really took the best parts of the original Friday the 13th run, threw them in a blender, and somehow got a coherent Jason out the other side. Derek Mears is genuinely terrifying. Daniel Pearl makes this movie look gorgeous. There's almost a dark storybook quality to it. The set feels lived in. Jason's territory feels real. The geography actually matters. This feels like a movie made by people who genuinely liked Friday the 13th and wanted to make the version everyone remembers in their heads. This is also the only Friday the 13th that I've seen in theaters, purely because of timing. It's the only one that came out after I turned 18, which is also the exact moment I realized I'm the same age as part 5. I'm gonna go throw up for a minute. I love this one. It captures the vibes of those early movies while sanding off a lot of the rougher edges. And if anyone can solve the Jason problem, it's Sam Winchester. Dean just overslept.